Hello, kiddies. It's your old pal, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Video Store Clerks Podcast.
Welcome to the store.
What up?
Hello.
Internet. Action.
What up?
Action.
Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Once again, it is Tuesday night, so that means we are live. It is time for the Video Store Clerks Podcast. We are your clerks tonight. I'm Dave.
Chapman. I'm Chapman.
Yeah, I'm fucking Mikey Tatus, huh?
Jug Nasty, yeah.
And bam, tonight's main event, as you can see, is the 1990 Martin Scorsese classic, Goodfellas. Might be asking yourself, that seems so random. Well, it's not, because on this day, and I don't believe I'm saying this, 33 years ago, Goodfellas was released to the public. So here we are to talk about this classic. What, is my math wrong?
No.
Oh, okay.
Unfucking believable.
Unfucking believable. Oh, but now that we're through that, we will start the program as we always do with the news.
It's the news from the motherfucking clerks.
It doesn't matter what time I come on. 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and then you expect me to be chipper for 5 straight hours. It's miserable. I want you guys to say, wow, that's great news. It's going to be 60 on Friday. Well, I mean, what do you want me to do? Lie to you? I'll put 70 every day next time. God.
And that's how you get the weather.
Oops. Have you have you noticed it's like 80% of the time it's weathermen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's weird.
Being raised in a local TV show places. My dad was he worked for ABC affiliated Channel 36, WTVQ. So like I was around all those assholes when I was a kid. Like and you didn't talk about prima donnas. The weathermen were never really that bad. It was like always the fucking anchors. Fucking some real fucking prima donnas on there. I could go on, but just yeah. It's funny to watch these because like I don't know, being raised in the news and all that shit. It's just kind of funny to watch because my dad has a whole bunch of bloopers on VHSs that he's taped throughout the years that I've watched, and at some point we'll probably end up hitting one of them.
I'm sure it's a never-ending supply.
Yeah.
Well, not much going on really still because of the strike, so it's another slow news day. The weekend box office, another predictable one. Not that many people went to the movies, but the ones that did went to go see The Nun 2, it looks like. Bringing in $56 million. A distant second was A Haunting in Venice with 14, I believe. Yeah, 14 mil. And The Equalizer Part 3 hangs on to the number 3 spot. Excellent. In a strange story here.
So the Nun's number 1 right now?
Yes.
Yeah. That's funny. You know what though? I whatever your opinion or feeling is on those movies, I'm just glad it's a horror movie number 1.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting started, but I think just people went with the horror movie that they have heard of.
Yeah.
So everyone went with The Nun. It is a strange story because last week you guys had another outstanding episode when you covered Stallone's Cobra.
Yes.
And we don't plan these things out. I mean, we plan out which movies we're going to do a couple weeks in advance. We might make some minor changes at the last minute, but I think we picked Cobra a couple weeks ago. Well, as it turns out, Sylvester Stallone will have a documentary available on Netflix in November titled Sly. And Cobra came up. And I quote, Cobra to me was half-baked. I could have done better, but I wasn't concentrating enough. I felt as though there's something I should have directed, and I didn't, and I regret that. It was a strange choice of director because I believe it was the guy that did Rambo Part 2.
Yeah.
That also did. I'm sure that's probably how he got on board for Cobra, but it was a strange choice.
They said in like a lot of the interviews and shit though that Stallone pretty much did direct it.
Yeah, he was always trying to be like in the director's chair doing something. Prima donna.
Yeah, you know. Speaking of, there is a trailer available for that documentary that just dropped. If you want to check that out. And speaking of trailers, everybody, guess what?
What?
A new Nick Cage movie is on the way.
Okay.
Dream Scenario. Dream Scenario is the title of his new movie. And Nicolas Cage stars as a professor who becomes
Stars as a pervert.
No, he's even better. He becomes an overnight celebrity after appearing in everyone's dreams. Go watch the trailer.
Okay.
I'm totally going to watch this movie.
He's Freddy Krueger.
It's great. It's
Okay.
like that shit's genius. But yeah, that's all. Like I said, another slow news week, mainly due to the ongoing strikes that no end in sight. If you're wondering,
Forget about it.
forget about it. So let's get to the main event.
And
shall
nobody
we?
died. That we know of.
Yeah, don't jinx it.
That we know of.
Our main event, once again, being the 1990 classic Goodfellas, the Wise Guys. Well, gentlemen, I believe you guys know a lot more about this movie than I do, so I fully expect to be educated tonight. So if you're joining us live, feel free to jump in the chat. If you've never seen this movie before, if you're like me, you haven't seen it in a long time, and you'll probably learn a whole lot during this episode.
I will go ahead and throw out there that Whitman wanted to be on this episode because he loves this movie, but Whitman's hibernating at the moment. That's the best thing. He's hibernating.
Got to recharge the batteries.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Truth.
Gentlemen, what are your memories of this near perfect film?
Well, you guys go first because right now I'm trying not to get pinched. I'm fucking down here. Fucking Paulie fucking sent me down here to Tampa to fucking deal with this shit. I'm here.
Whitman.
I'm at the fucking Tampa Zoo. Fucking I just took a friend of mine to see the lions, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm just trying to fucking handle some business real quick. Just you go ahead and go and talk amongst yourselves, and I'm just gonna head back to the car.
All right.
At least Jimmy didn't send you down there with Anthony to whack somebody.
Because
you might not be coming home.
and see if somebody out there, if you want to keep a tally, there you go. Keep track of all the fucks. We're gonna try to break the record in Goodfellas, which I believe is over 300. So
It was like 500.
oh, is it 500?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
not gonna
goddamn!
break that
Fuck! All right, there. Oh, give us a little head start.
And canceled.
Yeah.
Oh, we still on?
Dropped.
Now, this movie was based off of a book, Wise Guy, based on Henry Hill's life. The book was written by Nicholas Pileggi. And then he liked it. He thought the movie should be adapted into a film, or the book should be adapted into a film. And then apparently he got numerous calls from Martin Scorsese, but he did not believe it was Martin Scorsese. He thought it was another writer just fucking with him. So eventually his wife, she worked in and around like the business and stuff, and she knew Marty Scorsese's I guess secretary, and she was like, "Hey, why is your husband dodging Marty's calls?" So whenever he got home one day, she was like, "You need to call Marty back," and he's like, "It's not Marty." She's like, "The fuck it ain't." So you need to call him. So then he called him. Biggity boom, wrapped up. They both wanted to do the film. They just had to sit down and go over the book and start writing the script. And then they said they read the book, highlighted what they wanted to put in the film, they both pretty much highlighted everything the same. And after that, they just had to find out who they wanted in it. So ultimately, they went with Pesci and De Niro because of working and doing Raging Bull. And after that, it was pretty much just finding who they wanted Henry Hill to be. And at first, they were going to grab Tom Cruise and Madonna. But Scorsese wanted Liotta from the jump. And
I don't think Madonna would have been a really good Henry Hill. I don't think she would have worked out too well.
No. Well, they wanted her to play the wife, obviously.
Yeah.
But then Nick wasn't a big fan of Liotta. But then apparently, like, Liotta saw him and his wife eating dinner one night, and he walked over and he's like, "Hey, let's go outside and talk for 10 minutes if that's cool." And he was like, "Yeah." So they went outside and talked, and by the end of the conversation, Pileggi called Scorsese and was like, "Yeah, Ray Liotta's Henry Hill."
Well,
and
it's
after
crazy.
that was a wrap. They started juicing it up.
I mean, considering the fact that, like, this is the roles that these actors play, which, I mean, like, if you look at, like, the cast on this, it's pretty amazing. You know, it's like there's not really a bad actor in this, you know. Liotta does make the film. What I was gonna say was this is like one of the most memorable roles for all these guys. You know, it's like Joe Pesci, like, you always think of, you know, the guy that's gonna bash somebody's head in, you know, that has a short fuse and all that, man. And that's pretty much what his whole thing's been, his whole career. You know, which I'm sure that there's some truth to how he acts, but he's always been a gangster, you know, in the celebrity world. Same with Ray Liotta. I mean, you always think of him like that. De Niro he just shoots off the gangster vibe, no matter what he's doing. So it's just a given. Oh shit. I was gonna make a good point about something. I hate when I do that. Fuck.
Fuck.
Motherfucker. But no, I mean, like, this movie really did make a lot of their careers. Oh, what I was gonna say though, when it comes to Ray Liotta, he was always seen as, like, being a tough guy, you know, and always getting typecasted as, like, an asshole or whatever. But he was said to have been, like, a super nice guy, and he even said multiple times on many interviews he's never been in a fight won.
Really?
Like, he was never a tough guy. He was never really that dude. And this movie pretty much made it to where it's like, oh, we need a punk ass motorcycle gang leader, Ray Liotta. You know what I mean? Like, we need a gangster type guy, Ray Liotta. We need a guy to go against the bees. We get Ray Liotta. Because if you've never seen the Bee movie, you ever seen the Bee movie?
No.
Okay, it's a cute little movie. It's funny. But the funny thing about it is Ray Liotta is kind of the villain in it.
Oh, okay. The cartoon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, okay. No, I've never seen it.
Because his company's trying to, like, take all the honey from bees or something like that, and it's like he always got typecast as this villain, you know, or this jackass, when he's actually, like, apparently, like, was a big sweetheart of a guy, never, you know, wasn't violent, whatever, but man, he was one hell of an actor. He knew how to fucking be a fucking dickhead. I mean, Cocaine Bear. I love that
character. I love his character in Cocaine Bear. He was just such a sleazeball in that movie. It was so
he was almost like he was pretty much almost like playing the older version of some of the gangsters and shit, like, you know, that he's played. So just it's like
a sleazier version of
right. Yeah, completely.
Yeah. R.I.P. to
definitely.
That was hell of one of the great.
Yeah.
I think Goodfellas just sent him to the moon after that, man. He was a star after this movie.
I think he got.
Oh, there he is.
He got nominated for a role that he did before this for the Golden Globe or whatever. I forget the name of the movie, but that's what made Scorsese want him in this film.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was though.
I watched this one here was really his big breakout film though. That's what put him on the map.
Yeah, there's I think it's like an actor's studio interview or something like that. I watched I guess it was shortly after he passed or whatever. And he talks about all that, and like he always said that if it wasn't for Goodfellas, like his career probably wouldn't have been what it was. So, I mean, I can believe that too, you know.
Yeah.
And he fucking nailed that shit.
He did. This shit was fucking amazing. From the beginning to the end. And it's one of them rare movies too, where like the main actor narrates most of the film.
Yeah, yeah. Which I always liked that.
Like, you know, another Marty Scorsese films, Casino. You know, that's kind of a Scorsese thing. You know, he likes the narrator telling the story, and I dig it too. You know, I think it gives you that point of view, and even it even bounces to other characters. Like in Casino, it'll jump around to Pesci and yeah. So you get those different perspectives, but you get the narration as well. So I dig it.
Yeah,
and I say this a lot on the show. I miss movies like this, but this film is just one of those films you can't take your eyes off of it.
True.
It just hooks you in from the beginning, and a lot of it is the dialogue. It's just them fucking talking.
Yeah.
And the tension with Joe Pesci, the famous scene with "Am I a Clown?" I mean, God, you can feel it. No matter how many times you watch the scene, God, you can feel it. You know what's going to happen, but God, the tension, you can feel it, and that's what makes it great.
Well, they even said during that scene that I think Pesci and Ray Liotta were the only ones that knew what were going to happen there. So all the other actors didn't realize that they weren't acting. They thought it was fucking serious for a minute. Like, what the fuck is Joey doing here? You know, is he going off script? You know, he's just kind of freestyling, and that's what made it even more tense because everybody's like, "What the fuck's going on here?" Mm-hmm. But Ray Liotta knew, and fucking classic scene, man. Everybody remembers that shit.
Yeah, they said they wanted the real reactions of all the other actors, and plus, like, apparently that was a real scenario that Joe Pesci was in when he was younger, just busting tables and shit. He just saw a bunch of gangsters in a fucking, like, the restaurant hanging out or whatever, and then when he overheard the guy telling a joke, and he was like, "Hey, you're funny," and the guy's like, "Funny how?" Right. Like, the whole, like, he was just trying to, like, talk to him and, like, kind of get in with him, and then it just backfired on him, and they were ready to beat his ass.
Yeah, so Joe Pesci's kind of an asshole. Experience. Like, you almost hate Joe Perry. Joe Pesci. Joe Perry. I hate Joe Perry. Joe Pesci's character in this movie.
Now we're going to invoke fucking Aerosmith.
Yeah, fuck that. Nope. I don't ever want to invoke nothing when it comes down to Aerosmith.
Unbelievable.
Fuck.
Oh.
Actually, what the fuck's my dad might be watching this one. He loves this movie too, so. Sorry, Dad.
Well, I mean, if he loves this movie, then he knows. You know, there's going to be a lot of fucks in this episode. So if you don't fucking like it, I don't want to fucking tell you. You know, it's funny because, you know, you think it's just like something for the film. You know, it's just, you know, whatever. But if you go back and look at an interview with Henry Hill or anything like that, like the real Henry Hill, like every other word out of his mouth is fuck. So none of this is exaggerated whatsoever. It's not played up just to appease people and be like, oh, cool, profanity. Like that's how they talk straight up. And
right. But movies back then, I mean, I think this had the record for the amount of fucks given in a movie at the time.
Yeah,
I think so.
You know, I
think they said there was 521 fucks given in this film.
Didn't it say half of them were from Joe Pesci?
Yes.
More than I believe it. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's a 2.5 hour long movie, which, I mean, honestly, when you get to watch it, it doesn't feel that long. Because, I mean, it really is like in pure Scorsese like fashion. Have you ever put on a Scorsese movie and not just wanted to keep watching it? Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's it was everything.
It was to the point where, like, after Pesci's mom actually watched the film, she was like, "Do you have to curse so much?" And that's why they put that one scene in Casino.
Oh, really? That's funny. Well, speaking of the moms, because Martin Scorsese's mom is in the movie.
Yeah, she plays Pesci's mom.
Yeah. And apparently that scene was pretty much ad-libbed for the most part.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious because, like, it's like, oh, like, you know, she did a good job. being herself.
Yeah. Dude, I love that scene because it always reminds me of my grandmother. You know, she's just like that sweet woman
Right.
that you know, there's not a mean bone in her body, and it's like whenever you come around, she's full of love. She's so happy to see you. Everything like that, and that's how Katie Scorsese, Marty's mom, was. Fucking she's been in a number of films. She was in Casino. She was in Mean Streets. She was in King of Comedy. She had like small parts like that, but most people remember Goodfellas the most, just because he has her pull out the painting of the old man and the dogs, and that's I love that scene. That's so classic. Where she's like, what? You got one dog's looking east, one's looking west, or whatever, and what do you want? And
the old man don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Tommy's like, and he's like, what do you want from me? And the old guy's like, what do you want from me? Hey, it looks like somebody we know, And
Mom,
that's what
this knife.
That illustrates how uncaring these guys were when it came to crime and violence and everything like that. Like, you see in that scene, like Liotta is sitting there watching these guys, and the only thing Ray Liotta or Henry Hill can think is at this point is, fuck, we just fucking whacked Billy Batts, who's a made man.
Yeah.
And we're fucked. We're like totally fucked. That's all he can think about. But fucking Tommy and Jimmy, they're just fucking sitting there, fucking eating their food, just cracking jokes, and like no big deal, just another day. And even Tommy's mom says to him, she's like, oh, Henry, you don't say much, and he's like, oh, I'm just listening or whatever. But he's just like, how can these fucking guys do that? And that's how it was. Henry Hill, if the real Henry Hill always said that he was kind of one of the guys that had more of a conscience. Like, he did a lot of gangster shit, but he had more of a conscience than a lot of these other guys who were just so ruthless. Jimmy Conway, based on the real life Jimmy Burke, and especially Tommy, Joe Pesci's character, the real life guy, Tommy DeSimone. Dude, they say that guy was just completely ruthless. Like, he killed dozens and dozens of people. Henry Hill said he had like a gun with like a pearl handle or whatever, and every time he killed somebody, he marked it or whatever, and he had 30 or 40 marks on there at one point. And Henry's like, I don't want to. Tommy, just don't tell me anything. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to hear anything. Whatever. But that Tommy was the real life Tommy DeSimone, fucking nut job. And
hey, Mom, I'm gonna take this knife. I'm gonna take you. I gotta get the deer. It got stuck in there. I gotta cut it.
What do you call it? The paw? The hoof?
Yeah. As long as you bring it back.
Well, they said Scorsese didn't tell his mom exactly what the scene was about. Like, he didn't let her know that supposedly there's a dead body in this trunk, because he didn't want her to freak out. He wanted her to be as genuine as possible. And then afterwards, he told her about it, and she smacked him. But like, apparently, like, his parents apparently did a lot of stuff in all of his films too. Like, she was the one who made all the sauce, like all the red gravy. Like, she's the one who made all the sauce and everything for everybody. She always made food and stuff for him. And then, like, both of them they're the ones that actually pressed all their collars, because nobody actually knew how to press an Italian shirt collar.
Right.
So they were the ones on set actually doing it. And then, like, after they'd shoot a scene, like, Marty would be like, does that look good? Like, is that how that would go down back in the day? And they were like, 100%, that's fine. Like, they were there to make the movie as authentic as possible.
Mm-hmm. And she didn't treat it like a film. Like, whenever he would bring in his mom, it was basically, hey, this is what's going on. She always looked at it as, hey, my son these are my son's friends, and he's making a movie or whatever, So she just treated them like, oh, this ain't fucking Robert De Niro or Joe Pesci, these famous actors. Oh, it's Bob and Joey. Bob and Joey, and it's my son's friends, and I'm gonna just sit here and just play natural with them, and that that's why I think it comes across so well, because it is natural.
Well, even his dad's the one, like, he's in the prison cell, or in the prison scene, when he's the one stirring the sauce up in the prison cell scene, whenever they're about to make that big ass dinner and shit. And he's also in the same scene where Tommy gets whacked at the very end. He's not the guy that pulls the trigger, but he's the other older guy standing next to him.
Oh, with the cane.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a pretty gruesome, like pretty brutal scene.
Yeah.
Like, which there's a lot of brutality in this movie, which always caught my eye as a kid, you know. But one of my favorite scenes that I've got to mention, because it's just like, man, it's justice, is like when Henry Hill goes over and beats the shit out of the neighbor across the street.
Yeah.
The guy that was fucking with her.
Dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that scene, man. Like you're watching it, you're like, that's fucking justice.
Yeah.
Like that guy's like, oh, what the fuck you want? He just starts pistol whipping his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love it. Fucking love it.
We
And
were
it
watching some. Go ahead.
it also shows, you know, where he hands the gun off to her and says, hide this. And then she even comes up and says that, I don't know why, but for some reason, like, he was kind of hot or whatever the hell.
Right.
And it goes to show that women, no matter how, like, especially like the more wholesome ones, they love the danger. I've learned this nowadays.
Well, I was going to say, too, like, during that scene, apparently, I guess Leota's mom died while they were filming that. So he, like, all the anger and shit that he would show on the screen, he actually used of just thinking about his mom passing.
Right.
So that's why everything he did where he was pissed off, it all looked real. Because he was actually just using that emotion of his mom passing while they were filming the movie.
But I mean, that was the lure of the gangster world, of the mafia, La Cosa Nostra. You know, the crime, the money, the glamour, the power, all those things is what appealed to these people. You know, Henry Hill had a rough upbringing. You know, he was dyslexic. At school, people would fuck around with him all the time. Just got mistreated by his parents and in general. And whenever he got a job at the cab stand and started doing favors for these guys, you know, these guys started treating him well. You know, they're like, you know,
right.
here, Henry, here's $5. Run this bag up to this guy. Don't open it, but just run it up there. And, you know, he would listen and do what they said, but a T. And he did such a good job doing work for him and everything. He moved up, and, you know, and then once Jimmy and Tommy and him became a crew working under Paulie, you know, they were pretty much untouchable. You know, Paul Vario was a capo, and pretty much him and like 5 or 6 other guys like ran that whole operation. They didn't answer to anybody. They were all like kind of on equal footing. They were all capos, and they had their own crews. And, you know, Tommy and Jimmy and Henry were in a crew, and they didn't really answer to anybody. You know, it was just like, oh, you know, these are Paulie's boys. You know, nobody fucks with them. So they got away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's like they when he first went to court when he was a kid, and he didn't say anything, you know, selling the cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, you know, when everything goes good, whatever, they greet him like he just graduated high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, well, of course that's going to be what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Lack of. Yeah. That's appealing to a kid that came from like parents who didn't give a fuck about him, and just, I mean, because like his dad was a violent asshole towards him, and they could do no right to him or do no right for them, and then you have all these, you know, big shots, especially, you know, Paulie, you know, being like, hey, you know, you're one of us. You did good, kid. You know, you did good. I mean, that's how a lot of kids end up getting into the life of crime at a young age, just because of that same thing right there, you know?
Yeah, I think he said by the time he was 15, he was making as much money as his father was, you know?
Right.
He was doing all these jobs and everything like that. And it was like, you're making that kind of money at that age, and it comes so easy. And you see these guys with the cars and the women and everything like that. And how can a young kid, you know, not, you know, how can he resist, you know? So it was just one thing after another, and he just fell into that lifestyle and enjoyed it. Now, from the film, you know, it's kind of portrayed like that's all he wanted to do and everything like that. In real life, Henry Hill actually, you know, at some point, I think whenever he was in his late teens, he wanted to get out, because he was doing such a good job. They kept giving him all kinds of different jobs to do, and it was like more and more fucked up shit, from what he said. And at one point, he was just like, you know, I got to stop doing this. I got to get out. And he ended up enlisting in the military, and he was gone for a few years. You know, he was trying to get out of it and everything like that. but he had a bad attitude, and he caused trouble in the military and all that. And then once he got out, he was down in the Carolinas, and just didn't know what to do with himself. I guess he was doing odd jobs and all that, and he just didn't like that life, and decided to go back. And then ultimately, everything else plays out. But we don't see that in the film. That whole part about Henry Hill, going into the military and trying to get out kind of at a younger age, we don't see that. It just seems like Henry Hill, that's all, he even says at the beginning of the film, all I ever wanted to be was a gangster,
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a crazy fucking life, man. Crazy
it always
shit.
appealed to me as a kid. I mean,
that's what,
it's like, oh,
that's
cool.
what
This
that
is cool
makes,
shit.
yeah, especially, when you don't know much about that world and you see,
Yeah.
I mean, you hear all these things, you see all these things. And then whenever like somebody like Scorsese comes along, he takes Nick Pileggi's book and brings it to life. And that stuff is like, they said it's like 90 to 99% accurate, the whole film, like the characters and everything like that.
Right.
And that's what makes it so interesting, because it's like, this is what really happened. It's like, this ain't an exaggeration. People really did this. People talk like this. People acted like this. People committed these crimes. This is all real life. The fucking Lufthansa heist. All that shit is real. So it's like, and the fact that these guys get away with it, that whole lifestyle has always appealed to everybody. Not only Goodfellas, Sopranos, all the gangster flicks that we've grown up, Scarface, all that stuff we've grown up with. Everything is so appealing about it, because it's kind of like what you want. You want to be able to just have that freedom to do whatever you want. Fucking have the power where nobody fucks with you. Have the money, have the women, whatever it might be. And, like we said, that's just what draws people in. And that's what makes this stuff so classic.
Yeah, because what did he say at the end of the movie, too? Like, the only thing that actually was proof that he existed was his birth certificate and then his arrest record.
Yeah.
Like, everything else is pretty much falsified, like his social and everything else. Like, he
So
never
when-
paid taxes a day in his life or nothing.
So when did he come out of hiding? Because, I mean,
It was like the mid-'80s.
why did he, though?
Or
Also.
mid-'90s, I mean. He got
Yeah, it
kicked
was
out
the
of hiding.
90s.
He got kicked out
Yeah,
because he kept telling everybody who he was. And they were just tired of his shit. And then he got arrested for trying to sell coke and shit.
Not
Oh,
only
yeah,
that,
there was
the movie
that,
came
yeah.
out?
that was the
after
main
the
thing.
movie came out that he started talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think, that kind of went to his head, that kind of fame and
Yeah.
everything like that. And, but I think the main thing that they wanted him out of WITSEC for was because he was like Chad said, he was doing crime. He was going back to selling stuff and all that. And, not like it was before, but he was just doing little shit and would get, whatever. But
Yeah.
he, all that appealed to him. He ended up, they said he got like $500,000 for his life story, to do for the film. He never met Scorsese at all in real life. Like, he wasn't one of these guys that was on set, giving pointers or being kind of a guide to explain everything. He talked to Scorsese over the phone, but he never met him. He was never on set. So he got paid $500K. They said he blew through that pretty quick. He was the type of guy that just blew through money like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of those guys that were after him anyway were either dead or in prison. So
Yeah.
I think he said there was a hit out on him for a little while after the fact. Who was it? I think it was Pauly Vario. Once he had found out where he was, or that he was out from witness protection, put out like $2 million bounty on his head or something like that.
God damn.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think
Who the hell
the
did
only
you
person
have
he
that?
really met from the movie, I think, is Ray Liotta. He said they
Yeah.
went out and
No,
had
he said-
lunch or something.
No, he said
Yeah.
he met Bobby De Niro and Pesci. He met those three. He met the main three people. Met De Niro's kids and all that at some point or whatever. But I know Ray Liotta had talked about meeting him, because
his laugh and shit.
The first thing that Henry Hill said to Ray Liotta was, "Hey, thanks for not making me look like a scumbag." And Ray Liotta's like, "What are you talking about?
Did you see the movie?
Do you see the movie? You were a scumbag the whole time. You cheated on your wife. You did drugs. You killed people. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" But I think to Henry, knowing what he really did, I'm sure a lot of the stories have been omitted. I know they said there was like 36 minutes of the film or something like that had to be cut out because it would have got them X rating. But just the stories in general, there's a lot of it's kind of like military guys. They don't want to talk about the shit that happened. Killing all these people and everything like that because it fucks you up. And
some officers like doing that though.
Some do.
Some of them like to brag.
I don't think Henry was that type. I mean, he liked to brag, but he, like you said, he kind of had a conscience, if that's even possible, because like the other guys, like Tom and them, they would kill women and children and all that. He would talk about crazy shit, like Tommy taking somebody's kid and putting him in a freezer and wrapping a chain around it and locking it up and fucking. Crazy fucked up shit that really happened. It was just these guys were completely ruthless. They didn't care. They killed women and children. There wasn't a code. That's like a misconception that most people have. Like, women and children, they don't mess with them. No, they would go after the women. They even in the film towards the end, whenever Jimmy Lorraine Bracco's character Karen shows up, and Jimmy's like trying to tell her like, "Yo, go down there, go into that building." She has that hesitation, like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Am I going to get whacked? Because she didn't know. You couldn't trust anybody at that point. And that was the same thing that was going on in real life. Henry Hill had said that, he didn't go and meet Jimmy because he knew how Jimmy thought, and he wasn't trying to get whacked. So he had sent his wife up there, and he got live with her, and I think in real life she slapped him or whatever and just took off. But like, you couldn't trust anybody, even the people you knew for years. It's a cutthroat business. It's a selfish lifestyle that people are using other people to gain this money and power and everything like that. And when it comes down to it, you just got to look out for yourself. They say family is everything, but it's kind of a bullshit, excuse.
Yeah, I mean, they'll send you on vacation to a tropical island one day, and the next day have you whacked.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a lifestyle not for the paranoid.
Yeah, it lures you in, but much like the film, when you get to the third act, you start to see the consequences of everything and how everything just goes to hell.
Yeah, you go to just looking over your shoulder there pretty much the rest of your life once shit goes sideways. Like even his lawyer was saying that whenever he was representing them and they were talking about the book idea and everything, like anytime he went anywhere with Henry, he just was extra cautious because he knew if someone saw Henry, they were going to kill them both.
Yeah,
like no questions asked.
You don't know.
Like, and he said that because I mean the actual lawyer, what's his name, Ed McDonald, he's actually in the movie. He's the guy playing the lawyer talking to Henry at the very end, talking to Ray Liotta. Like that's the real lawyer of Henry Hill.
And you gotta admire the almost obsession with everyone involved in this film to make it every little thing as authentic as possible. And this is what you get. I mean, I saw somewhere that Robert De Niro didn't want to use fake money because he didn't like the way it felt in his hands. Yeah. So someone on the crew, I believe, gave him $5,000 in cash and said, "Use this." And that's what even little things like how his character held paper in his hand, how he held a cigarette in his hand.
Yeah, he said he talked to Henry Hill about how like Jimmy actually held cigarettes, how he talked, how his mannerisms were, and everything to get everything down to the last detail.
Yeah, I think he called him a couple times a day and asking him just all these, I guess, random questions like how do you stand, how do you sit, how do you talk, how do you all the little things like that. But I think that almost obsession is missing a lot.
Like they almost didn't use Pesci as Tommy because of his size.
Yeah, he didn't have the build.
And then by this time they were already in like pre-production for almost like a year. And Pesci's like, well, I am Tommy. He's like, I've been talking to Henry just trying to get Tommy down. Like, I'm already Tommy. He's like, so you can't put me in a different part. He's like, if you're going to take me out, just take me completely out. And Scorsese, like, got it through to where, like, nah, like, you're Tommy.
Yeah, man. Like, could you imagine if it was anybody else? Like, it wouldn't. Like, this is the movie that really did bring Pesci up here. You know what I mean? Like, put him, like I said earlier, kind of gave him the name that he kind of, has today. He's like the short little badass that might take a fire, like a 5'9", to you or whatever. But
right. Because they said like the real Tommy was like almost 6 foot tall and he's pretty buff, like ripped up a little bit. Like he was big dude.
Yeah, he was a big dude. I think, wasn't he? A bricklayer? Yeah.
I don't know, but Tommy DeSimone was like 6'2", and he was a big motherfucker.
They said like the main things that weren't accurate. They said was the violence was toned down too much for the film. Because the one scene where Tommy's beating the shit out of Billy Bats, like in real life, like he actually broke his revolver on his face.
Yeah,
that's how hard he was hitting him with his pistol. Like he actually broke the gun on his face.
God, fucking.
But that whole scene cracks me up though. Whenever he looks up at Ray and he's like, "I didn't want to get blood on your floor."
Yeah.
He's more worried about messing up Henry's floor than the fact that he just killed this guy. And that's what it was. It was that mentality, like fuck who this guy is. He should have. But that's the way that the Tommy character and the real life Tommy was he just was going to do whatever the fuck he wanted whenever he wanted. He thought, he was untouchable and he was going to be a made guy at some point. He was the only one out of that crew that could get made. He was the only one that had full Italian blood, and like Jimmy was Irish, I believe, and Henry was half Irish. Even though his mother was Sicilian, he couldn't be made because he wasn't full. He could go over to the Irish mob, and he could have been a leader of the Irish mob or whatever. But he would have had to start from scratch if he wanted to do something like that. But yeah, out of that whole group, Tommy was the only one who could get made, and that's what you see. Whenever they say they're opening the books to make Tommy, obviously we see that it's a ruse to get Tommy away and to whack him. But those guys are so excited. Jimmy, it was, he even says if Jimmy felt like he was being made, because essentially they were, they were a tight crew. And, once, Tommy got made, then, it was like they were all getting made. Yeah. So, and that was a big ordeal because not a lot of people got made, man. It was like I was saying, it was like Bavario and like 5 other dudes got made, back then. And then they closed the books for a long time. So that was like that's the highest honor you can get in the mafia is to be made like that. Like they say, nobody can fuck with you. You can fuck with anybody you want.
Right. Well, I think they said that in real life, like Jimmy wanted Bats dead just as much as Tommy did because Jimmy pretty much took over all of Bats' gambling shit while he was in prison. So he knew he was going to have to give that back up to him, and he didn't want to because it was just easy money. Yeah, he had his fingers in everything. So then, like, whenever that occasion arose and he got out of prison, and then Tommy had beef with him, he's like, "Yeah, we're going to kill this fucking guy." So that's ultimately, why they did it so easily together. They both wanted him dead.
And ultimately, a lot of people think that that's what ended up, costing Tommy his life. In the film, essentially is what cost Tommy his life. In real life, fucking Tommy ended up, that was one of the things because they always assumed, that Billy Bats was on Tommy. But like 9 years had passed before Tommy even got whacked. And it seemed like, it was just a lot of things, in the film. You see some of those things, where he pops Spider, for nothing. Stuff like that the real Tommy DeSimone would do, and he was just too out of control. And these guys, at some point, I think he was dating some guy's sister. One of the guys was with the Gambinos. Same thing. Billy Bats was with Gambino family, and he was dating this guy's sister. And he said, "Hey, I don't want you dating my sister. He didn't want his sister around Tommy because he knew Tommy's reputation. And Tommy's like, yeah, whatever. And fucking just ignored him. So the guy got pissed off and was talking shit about Tommy. Tommy showed up at his door, and the fucking guy popped Tommy and fucking knocked him out. Yeah, that's how crazy fucking this guy had to be so big that, Tommy DeSimone, like you said, 6'2", fucking huge, built like a brick shit house. Fucking this guy fucking knocks Tommy down on his front yard, and fucking Tommy's laying there, just fucking pulls out his gun, fucking pops this guy. That's how it was. Didn't give a shit. So, I think that was Henry Hill says that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, and ended up getting Tommy whacked in real life. But it was just, he was just out of control, and we see that in the film.
Right.
I mean, especially
once
when
he
he shot that kid.
Yeah, like once he would have got made too, like it would have just been even worse.
Yeah. One thing that was, this is totally off topic on that aspect of things, but there's some about actors and cast in this. There's somebody in this movie that I never even realized who it was. But it makes sense why he was in The Departed now, because I only knew him from Pineapple Express and a couple other movies that were like ridiculous comedies. I can't remember his fucking name, but you know who I'm talking about. Right? You've seen Pineapple Express, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. He's the guy, he's the hitman that just wants to go home and have dinner with his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Henry Hill's brother in the movie.
Yeah.
His little brother. And I was like, what the fuck? That guy looks so familiar. And I was like, oh shit, it's that one dude who just has a really, really bad day in Pineapple Express. Yeah,
I mean, you can't forget Sam Jackson either. Playing, what's his name? Stacks. He's the one that pretty much fucks everything up and leaves his fucking car out in the open, so they can pinch everybody. So
no, that's what fucked up. That's what fucked up the Lufthansa heist, as far as the back end goes. Like that fucking heist got pulled off without a hitch, and at the time it was the biggest cash heist in American history. They got away with like $6 million plus all kinds of jewels and shit. For today's money, it would probably end up being like $20 million and adjusted for inflation. So it was an insane amount of money. And like they show in the film, like anybody that was, Stacks fucked up because he went to like his girlfriend's house or whatever, fell asleep, didn't ditch the van. Cops found the van. So then that's when Jimmy got paranoid and just started whacking people. And that's how it was in real life, Stacks fucked up and he got whacked. And then just one guy after another, that was involved with it started turning up dead, especially anybody that, asked for their money, if they came to Jimmy and wanted that money, that was a death wish. Henry, he wasn't involved in the heist. He was just kind of like a guy that facilitated it. But he was supposed to get money he was supposed to get like $500K from Jimmy. And then another guy, he was supposed to get like $250K for getting him in on the deal. And, once he saw everybody getting whacked, he was like, fuck this. He didn't even ask for his money or anything like that. But then, I don't think he got any of that money. Jimmy did hook him up, and that's how he got involved in drugs, because Jimmy had started getting into the drug business, and he had got some like black tar heroin or whatever. In the film, Henry Hill's dealing cocaine, but in real life he was dealing heroin. And Jimmy came to Henry Hill in real life and gave him this brick of heroin and was like, "Hey, have you sold this before? Can you move this or whatever?" And Henry was like, "Yeah." And he knew some guys or whatever. And that's when he started selling the heroin. And he started out making like $25K a week, $40K a week after a while. So he didn't get that money that he was supposed to from the heist, but he got the hookup to where he was making that, that bank every week, 25 to 40K a week. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's unfucking believable. So, he wasn't hurt for money. That's for sure.
Right. Especially back then, like you said, with the inflation on the way money is now. Like,
yeah.
I mean, $40K a week back then is like $100,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you can't fucking beat it.
It's back when cigarettes were like 10 cents.
Right.
Yeah.
Gas was like a nickel.
Yeah.
Like it's the fucking shit.
It
They
all
get 3
really
cans
is
of gas.
fascinating. It's all really fascinating. I mean, everything about it, the movie, what the movie's based on, the production of the movie. I mean, it really is all a big story within itself. And let's not forget the soundtrack.
Oh, fucking
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Another classic
It
soundtrack.
really is.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's
There's
the
a mixture of
fucking,
everything on there.
that's just another element of the genius of fucking Marty Scorsese, man, because it's like you can watch these films and it's kind of like Tarantino. You put on a film and you don't tell somebody that it's Martin Scorsese, and you put on another film, they're going to see the parallels between these films. You're going to see the fucking things and recognize, like, hey, this is his style. And he has that attention to detail that is fucking impeccable. And he knows, we've talked about this on other shows where if you get the right soundtrack for a film, it's going to elevate that status even more so, because fucking people are remember that more than anything. You can have a great scene, you can have great dialogue, you can have great actors, but if you throw in the great soundtrack and everything on top of that's just the fucking icing on the cake, to where you're like, this fucking scene is amazing. One thing after another.
Right.
And it's like that with, like you said, with all Tarantino's movies, Danny Elfman movies. It's like the soundtrack is a character itself.
Oh,
And
for sure.
that always elevates the movie.
Well, Pileggi even
Oh,
said,
yeah.
like, as they were writing the script, Pileggi said, like, they'd be in a room, him and Marty be in a room just working on the script, and they'd start writing a scene or whatever, and then they'd finish the scene. Like, as he's writing, like, the dialogue and shit, like, Marty would be like, cream. And he's like, what? He's like, we're going to use cream for this scene. He's like, you know that already? He's like, yeah. He's like, I got it all mapped out in my head. He's like, I know every song I want to use for every scene. And he was
Hell
like,
yeah.
okay.
Nice.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that.
soundtrack's
Whenever,
amazing.
yeah, that, like the montage where after everybody's getting whacked after Lufthansa, and he has that piano exit from Clapton. Oh my gosh, so good, so fucking good, man.
And then you got everybody in there too, like Tony Bennett and all that shit, and like everything in between. You got some Stones, like you got every fucking thing in that movie.
Yeah.
Everything about all the elements in this movie just made this a perfect film.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're into gangster films or whatever, and you have not seen this movie, then what the hell did you start watching these movies because of?
Nah,
Right.
you can't be into gangster films and not seen this movie. That's
true.
This is like the first stop. You got to.
That's what I'm saying.
It's the top of the mountain. I think. It's I don't know. There's some other good ones, but I don't know. This has got to be top of the hill.
It's a really good one. Thinking about it, I was like, well, what's another good one, like gangster films I really like? Man, The Untouchables.
Untouchables.
Yeah, Untouchables is one of my favorites. There's something about that movie, man. I just love that fucking movie.
I was talking to Dave earlier. I was like, I wouldn't mind doing the Bronx Tale at some point. I love that movie too. Such a
Donnie
good movie.
Donnie Brasco.
Donnie Brasco.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fucking the movie Johnny Depp did about
That's what I'm thinking of too, and I can't think of the name of it.
Whitey
know what you're talking
Bulger.
about.
Blow.
Oh, Black Sunday.
Oh,
Something like that.
yeah,
What
yeah,
that shit was called?
yeah.
Is that what it's called?
No, Black Mass.
That's it.
Black
Black
Mass.
Mass.
That's what it was.
Yeah, okay. I was saying Black
Sunday
Sunday.
Mass. I was
That's a
close.
Cypress. Black Sunday is like one of my favorite Cypress Hill albums. I know that's not it.
But I would agree, if you want to get into mafia gangster movies, start here.
Start with this one. Yeah, I mean, this has everything you kind of need. Oh, other good ones. The Iceman. That one was actually pretty good.
Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
I was always a big fan of Kill the Irishman too.
You know what? I've never seen that one.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, is that the one that was on Netflix or whatever the fuck a while back?
Well, they have another one called The Irishman that Scorsese did with the Nero
That's
Pesci
what I'm
and
thinking of. Yeah, I never seen
I
that
haven't,
movie.
I haven't
don't
seen
need
that
to.
one yet because I don't have Netflix.
That's a
Yeah,
long
that's
watch.
a good movie too. That's what I heard. It's like 4 hours long or some shit. Like this is only like 2.5.
Yeah, I can deal 2.5, 3 hours, give or take. Man, but God, 4 hours is a stretch for me.
Right.
Like,
And I mean, they covered 30 years in this movie, so I mean,
Even
Yeah.
back
Crazy.
then, 2.5 hours was a runtime for a movie. Normally, movies weren't that long back then.
right.
This was considered a long ass movie.
Yeah.
Back when it came out.
And movies were like
again,
what, an hour and 20 minutes back then or some shit.
Yeah, audiences were used to an hour and 20 minutes, 2 hours tops.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything over 2 was rough, but this movie just flows so well. Like next thing you know, it's fucking over.
Yeah, well, it's like the Wall Street of the Wolves of Wall Street.
Wolf
Like
of Wall
it took
Street.
me forever. It took me forever to watch the movie because it was like it's 3 hours long. But I swear to fuck, it doesn't feel like it. And I'm like, whatever.
No.
And I finally sat down and watched it, and I was like, yeah, it really doesn't feel like it's a 3 hour long movie. It's like if a movie's that fucking good, you know. It's like The Departed. I can't remember how long The Departed is, but it's like at least 2 hours.
It's about
long.
2.5.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. And that movie, I seriously have sat down and watched that movie twice in a row just because I love it so much. Like, I probably watched that movie more than just about anything else. I mean, when it comes down to Scorsese films, it's probably one of my favorites, but next to Goodfellas. But yeah,
And I'll say with me, I'm very fidgety. I have a short attention span, but this film, I cannot take my eyes off it. And again, with Tarantino, it's a lot like Reservoir Dogs. I could just sit there and watch these guys talk for 2.5 hours, and I would be entertained.
Yeah, the chemistry between all of them is just so good.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
you believe these guys are actually like, you know, homies. You know, they're actually in this thing. They actually come off as like old friends and shit like that.
Well, I think this was the second film that De Niro and Pesci did together. Because I
Yeah.
think the first one was Raging
Raging.
Bull.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then even on that movie, like I said, like Marty's parents were so into his films and shit. Like even during Raging Bull, whenever like it came to the part where De Niro had to gain like 60 pounds, they asked how he did it, and he said, "I just stayed at Marty's house, and his mom just kept cooking."
I could
Sounds
see
about
him
right.
saying that too.
Yeah, but that's all what really happened in there. And then they were like, "Well, did you have any inspiration or anything whenever he had to lose the 60 pounds?" And she's like, "Oh no."
No.
She's like, I just make good food.
I believe it. There is nothing like Italian food unless it comes straight from
That's
an
the other
Italian
thing with
person,
this
you know?
movie. I get so fucking hungry watching this movie.
Yeah,
She said she started making the gravy and shit on set or whatever for the movie because the first time he got stuff, she was like, "That looks terrible," and she wouldn't let him film that scene with it. So she's like, I'll make the sauce.
They take their fucking their food
shit
very
seriously.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. You know, like I got a friend of mine who, big shout out to Flo. Her mom, their family's like straight up Italian, and I used to get like meatballs as gifts. Like they, you know, she'd be sent with them to give me food and shit. It was great. I'd go out and eat over there like holidays and stuff. It was awesome. So like, yeah, it's the same with you. Watching this movie makes me hungry at times.
I mean, just that scene when they're in prison.
Just reminded me of the
Remind you of what?
yeah, taking a razor blade to the onion.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. It's like he cut the garlic paper thin, so it would just dissolve in the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like they're serious food people.
That's funny. You just made me think of The Wedding Singer, Chuck, where that old lady would pay him in meatballs for lessons or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Here, take 2.
She-
Just dump them in your hand.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. What an amazing cast from start to finish. Who else? We can't leave anybody out. We got
Paul
R.I.P.
Sorvino.
Fucking shout out to Paul Sorvino, man, as
Rest in
Paulie.
peace.
Oh my gosh,
He almost
amazing
turned
act.
the movie down. Like 3 days
Yeah.
before filming, he wanted off the film because he couldn't figure out how to play this character. And then he was just staring in the mirror, and then he made this weird like face to where like how he felt the guy would look, and he was like, "Oh, fuck it, never mind." Like he even called his agent, like he's got to get me off this project. He's like, "I can't pull it off. I don't want to ruin the film, and I don't want to." He's like, "I don't want to ruin anything Marty does," because they have such high respect for Marty Scorsese.
Oh yeah.
And then like he was just sitting there, and he like got this like image of in the mirror of this face he was making, and he's like, "I got it." He's like, "That's it." Then
Never
he called
mind.
his agent back and was like, "Never mind."
We're good. 3 days.
He's kind of
before we
perfect.
start. Yeah. And
But he had his doubts. But
you got to admire that. I wish we would have another Martin Scorsese now. Excuse me.
Words are
Martin
hard, folks.
Scorsese. They are. English is hard.
Paulie didn't
Sometimes.
move fast, but he didn't have to move
But-
for anybody.
Right.
Right.
But I know we'll never we'll never have another one, unfortunately.
No, like all the good guys that played in the mafia movies, aside from, I mean, like Pesci and De Niro and Pacino, like all the legendary ones, they're pretty much gone now. Like
all the good fellas, you mean?
Yeah. Like fucking even like James Gandolfini, like it's fucking it sucks.
That one really sucked when he died. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, even what's his face from Goodfellas is in that movie. What's that guy's name? Mark, the guy that played Spider.
Maioli.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was a couple people that were in Sopranos, that were in Goodfellas.
Yep.
They said also a lot of the background actors too were actually real people that were in the mafia. Like he got real gangsters to be in the movie, just to make it more authentic. I was like, that's crazy.
We got fucking Frank Vincent as Billy Bats, man.
Right.
Shout out to Frank R.I.P. again.
He was also in Raging Bull.
Yeah.
And Casino. Yeah, that's I think we might have talked about. I don't know if we talked about this on Casino episode or not, but it was one of those things. It's a nice little Easter egg. If you go back and you look at the two films, you got Goodfellas.
They're not really Easter eggs.
The eggs.
They couldn't be more of a perfect way for him to be frozen. It looks like he's either in ecstasy or taking a shit.
Mid nozzle.
But yeah, again with the authenticity, interviewing people that were really involved in the mob just to be extras in your film.
Yeah,
that's why he'll always be one of the greats. And like I said, I wish we had another one today.
Right,
but
well, we still got him, so we still got him around. So
he's alive and well. But
yeah,
I'm just saying. I wish, gosh, I miss movies like this, man.
I know we need.
I know.
Definitely. I mean, I can watch mafia movies all day. Like I said, I couldn't tell you how many fucking times I've ever seen Scarface or The Godfather 1 and 2. Like I've seen both of them movies fucking endless times.
Godfather 2 is probably my favorite.
Right, like even like American Gangster, and then they got the other show about Bumpy Johnson. God damn it, The Godfather of Harlem. That's a dope ass TV show. Like, luckily it's still running. I think the last season is what they're working on now. But
mafia movies, I don't know. It's like a lot of times when you're a kid and like either like your dad or your granddad or your friend's dad or whatever has like either mafia movies playing or Western movies playing.
Right.
And it's like Goodfellas, Scarface, like all those were usually the ones that were usually on TV. And then, I don't know, you kind of get hooked on them. Just like
Johnny Dangerously.
Else, right.
Love that fucking movie. That shit cracks me up.
I don't know. Something about it. There's just something about the organized, crime life that just appeals to us,
Yeah, it really is fascinating how just watching all this in action, watching everything unfold like this, and know that all this shit really happened.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Like, just going back and knowing that this actually really happened, but yet the film that you watch doesn't really give it justice to how violent and how shit completely truly was. Like, I mean, they make it as true to the T as they can do for rating, like, or they gotta stay within the R rating. Yeah. So I mean, but they said like in the one scene once they get bats and then they go back out and they like stab him and shit and shoot him in the trunk. Apparently, like he stabbed him like 7 to 10 times, but then like in the movie they edited it out to where they only show 3 because this movie surprisingly did terrible whenever they first did the viewings of it. In the first, like they said, like half the audience walked out on the first 2 screenings they showed.
That's crazy.
So they were like, this is not going to fucking work. And then they just kind of like, they went through it and just made some minor like cuts, but not a whole lot. And then they just went ahead and pretty much released the same film. But they were like, yeah, it just must not have been the right audience for it because
probably.
it just, as soon as it got released and everything else, anywhere else, all the other the showings they had, just fucking people were just raving about how fucking good the movie was.
Yeah.
I believe it doubled its budget.
Oh, I'm sure.
After
they said like at the
everything
con festival that people were literally booing while they were watching the movie,
which is crazy to me. Crazy, right?
And they were just saying it was too violent and shit. So that's why they tried to dumb some of it down as much as they could, but they just didn't want to go back and have to reshoot whole scenes and shit.
That's what weird, because these days everybody wants more violence.
Right.
Yeah.
If you made this movie today, you could make it 4 hours long and it would be like fucking just gore fest probably.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
I want to see this director's cut.
Right.
Does one exist?
I don't believe so.
That's a shame.
It is a shame.
Yeah, but going back though and just actually like looking at the story of the real gangsters that the movie's based upon, like it's fucking crazy, man. Like I thought I knew some fucked up people in my day coming up, but apparently not. Apparently not. Like I knew some crazy fucks, but these fucking guys
over here,
these fucking wise guys.
I've hung out with a few people that are similar.
I always like that scene too, whenever he's fucking doing all that running and shit, and he's like, I gotta get up, run over here to pick up product, then go pick up my little brother, then go back and still keep cooking dinner, and this, that, and the other thing. Like that whole fucking scene cracked me up. But my one favorite scene in the movie, though, which I don't even know why, is whenever like his wife is sitting at her parents' house, whatever, they're waiting for him to get home, and then he comes up to the door and she just starts, "What the fuck kind of person does this?" Blah, blah, blah. And he just starts laughing.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
that
Walks
laugh
away.
that became like Leota's signature laugh, and then like you hear Pesci in the car. "What kind of people are you? I don't understand you. What the hell are you doing, Henry?" And then they're like, "Fuck this, let's go." That whole scene fucking cracks me up.
Yeah.
Am I back?
You're back.
Jesus
Back
Christ.
in black.
My feed got whacked. I don't know what the fuck. Anyway, did you finish my story?
No.
No.
All right, back to this fucking story. Let's see if we can fucking do it. I'm fucking believable. Anyway, so in Goodfellas, you got Tommy, Joe Pesci's character, Wax, fucking Billy Batts, Frank Vincent's character, right? Then flip it, you go to Casino and watch, you have Frank Vincent's character who plays Frank Marino in Casino. He ends up killing Joe Pesci's character in Casino with a bat. At the end, him and his brother get fucking buried in the desert. In the cornfield, rather. So, fucking nice little payback there, you know.
Yeah.
Joe Pesci kills Frank in Goodfellas. Frank kills Joe in Casino. You know, we've come full circle. Very cool. Yes. But yeah,
And
Frank
they also
Vincent.
said in the one episode of Sopranos, whenever the dude that plays Spider walks into that deli and shoots that dude in the foot, that was basically like a shout out to Goodfellas, because that's where he started out acting at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael
Makes sense.
Michael Imperioli, another great actor, played Christopher Moltisanti in Sopranos.
Christopher.
We always forget his fucking name.
Which, by the way, his wife in Sopranos, just in that, was it Drea
De Matteo.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Apparently, she's on OnlyFans now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Sounds like I'm just going to subscribe to another one.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, I think she ended up. She was saying. I saw some article saying that I guess she was like anti-vax or whatever, and then she lost a lot of jobs because of it, because of being vocal about it. So she started doing an OnlyFans. It's like, man, whatever gets you paid, homegirl. Do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's another classic. I'm not gonna spoil what happens in Sopranos if you've never seen it.
Oh,
but
man.
you gotta go watch that fucking series. Unfucking believable. I'm not gonna. I can't say anything.
It's a really good one. I really like it a lot.
But yeah, Michael
I like
Imperioli,
that stuff.
fucking Lorraine Bracco, Karen Hill. She's Dr. Melfi in Sopranos. Another classic fucking actress, fucking amazing.
Yeah.
She did a great job as Karen. I don't know if you guys talked about her or not while I was away.
No, not much actually.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah.
That's fine.
Good deal.
All right.
No, Lorraine, she, you could tell that she's a great character, a great actress, and she really brings Karen to life to where she plays this kind of, she knows what's going on, but at the same time, she's not afraid to mix it up too,
Right.
The scene where Henry wakes up and she's got the gun in his face because he's been with his guma, he's been fooling around on her, and she's like, "Do you love her?"
Yeah.
And she does a great job, and that's the Henry and Karen, we get from their relationship, we get another classic scene from the tracking shot, which was infamous, where they go to the Copacabana, and that shot where they just follow him from the parking lot into the Copacabana, the back, all the way up. That infamous tracking shot. It took them a number of times to get it down, but when they finally did, fucking masterpiece. So much work had to go in to making that happen. People not bumping into each other, people hitting their marks, everything. I love that style of directing, to where you can do a scene like that goes on for a few minutes and it's so perfect. Another show that always pops into my head whenever I think about tracking shots was True Detective. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The first season with Matthew McConaughey and
I need to.
And Woody Harrelson. There's like the fourth episode. There's a scene where he's trying to save the character, get out of a situation. I'm not going to spoil anything on that either. But they do a great tracking shot on that show as well. So if you've never seen True Detective, there's a couple. The first season's great. The last season I thought was really good, with Marshall Ali and what's his name? Damn it! Why can't I think of his name? He the bad guy in Blade.
Oh, Dorff.
Yeah, Steve Dorff.
Oh, Steve Dorff. Okay.
Yeah, they were in this last season, and they did a really good job. But the two other seasons are kind of like that. So, in my opinion, watch seasons 1 and 4 of True Detective. 2 and 3, forget about it. But yeah, another classic scene from Goodfellas. We got the tracking shot. Just everything. Everything is so memorable in this film, and that's what makes it so great.
I think they said it took them eight takes to get that down to a T.
Yeah, something like 8 or 9 shots. Yeah,
that's not bad actually.
No,
because it has to be perfect. It has to be perfect. Everyone has to hit their marks like precisely to get that right.
Yeah.
One fuck up, you got to start over.
I think they said they nailed it the first take, but the guy that was on stage telling the jokes,
the comedian, the comedian,
that's
messed up a lot. But and it's not like it's just like they're following them around an empty room or anything like that. Like there's a lot going on. Like you've got all these different cooks and people moving around in the back, so there's a lot of moving parts. And it's just a testament to Scorsese and his ability to make shit fucking amazing.
Yeah, like every scene in this fucking movie is shot beautifully.
Yeah, all the cinematography. I mean, this movie is done to goddamn near perfection.
Oh yeah, dude, totally. This is a perfect movie, in my opinion.
Who else? I'm trying to remember people off the top of my head. We got Chuck Lowe, who plays Maury. Maury's wigs. Yeah. They don't come off, even in water. So it's like that. Even like those low level characters, you remember. Yeah. Because fucking Jimmy's choking him out, trying to get his money from him, and then the wig comes off. And then
he just
and
starts
laughing. Yeah.
Henry's just like, and fucking all Jimmy's worried about is getting his fucking money.
And then Karen calls.
So
scene over. Then we get the pistol whip scene across the street.
Oh yeah.
He offered me a ride, and then I kept telling him no. Are you by a fucking cop, or what's going on?
Yeah, what is that?
I think I'm getting pinched, fellas. I think they fucking found out about the zoo. I think they found out about the lions, and you know what? What the fuck? Hey, fuck are you? You ain't taking me, motherfucker! I ain't no rat! Fuck you! I'm a video store clerk!
Is that FedEx truck full of fucking cigarettes next to you?
We got the FedEx truck. I'm about to jack this fucking truck. Hey, you fucking varmints! Boom, boom!
FedEx driver's like, what did I do?
This guy.
And that's how it really was. Fucking Jimmy Burke would be. He was just that was his main thing. He would do these heists where they would hijack trucks. They'd steal anything they could get their hands on. You know.
He always said he loved stealing more than anything.
Yeah.
He just liked robbing people straight up.
And I think if anything, like we said before, what the film didn't illustrate was the fact of how ruthless Jimmy and Paulie were in real life. We get to see Tommy and see his ruthlessness, but from what the real Henry Hill says, Jimmy and Paulie were fucking so deadly and ruthless when it came to business, because that's what it was. To them, it was business. They'll fucking kill anybody. It didn't matter. It came down to it. And we didn't see that as much. Jimmy, he's kind of like the brains of the operation, the brains of the crew. But we don't see how ruthless he can really be in this film. He's more of like we said, the brains and like a support of everything. And, he's the brains, Tommy's the muscle, and Henry's the reliable one. So.
Yeah, Henry was just kind of in it for the ride, but you knew if you gave him the job, it was getting done.
Yeah,
for sure.
Beautiful. So, any final thoughts on the Goodfellas? We go on and on about this one because it's just,
we could, man.
It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's one of those films where like we could literally just sit here and break down and analyze every scene and talk about what's fucking so great about it. And that's what makes this such a beautiful picture, to where it's going to be that way forever. It's like whenever we were talking about Jurassic Park on that episode, where nobody really does dinosaur movies anymore because fucking Spielberg came in and schooled the fuck out of it. And it's like, how are we going to top Jurassic Park? And now, with Goodfellas, they've done stuff since then, but it's tough to top. It's one of those ones. It's like, if you're going to try to do another a mob film about that time period, you're not going to be Goodfellas.
Yeah. Don't even bother.
Especially as something that's true. Especially something that's so true to the story.
Yeah.
I know, I always loved American Gangster. Then once I started looking into it, I found out that he really wasn't Bumpy's driver. He really didn't even come into the picture till Bumpy got arrested the first time whenever he got out of prison, or the second time, because at first he got released from Alcatraz, but Frank didn't come into the picture till later, whenever Bumpy was close to being dead.
Right.
But in the movie, they pretty much portray him. Right. But in the movie, they pretty much portray him as being Bumpy's number 2, but it wasn't even close to that.
Denzel Washington, motherfucking American Gangster. Fun fact, part of that budget went to repairing my friend's car, because we were up in Harlem whenever they were filming that, and we were near the set, and I was driving my friend's car because I was like, I'm going to go get something to eat, I'll be right back. And I hopped in his car and I was going to go grab some food, and he was like, hey, hang on a minute, I'm going to come with you. So I pull over to the side, right on the corner up in Harlem, and all of a sudden, production truck comes around the corner and fucking clips Matt's fucking car right on the driver's side, and fucking the cops show up, and all these people from the film, like crew members, not actors or anything, like just crew people, came over, and I was like, we're fucked, because all these guys are from the city. They're just gonna be like all these out of town guys. They fucking fucked up. And I told him, I was like, hey, look, I don't know if I'm supposed to be sitting here, but I pulled over. I was just parked, picking up my friend. This guy cut the corner too sharp, and he ended up clipping the front end here. You look at his car, his truck. Nothing happened to it. He fucked up my shit. He hit me. And the cops were actually cool about it. That they ended up paying to repair my friend's car. So part of the budget went towards fixing Matt's car. What up, Matt? Shout out to Matt Paul.
That's just funny.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's kind of funny, actually.
Poor Matt.
Schooled the fuck out of it.
yeah.
That's a t-shirt.
For real though. But yeah, like I said, you can do another gangster flick. It's got to be something different though. Kind of like Sopranos. Sopranos did really well, but it was more of a modern version. It was a modern telling of that lifestyle. And now, that lifestyle is not really a thing as much. You can't do crime the way you could back in the day. There's cameras everywhere. There's a different kind of criminal out there. Now it's all cyber crime and all this shit. It's not. The fucking. There's going to be a goddamn Goodfellas about crypto crime and all that shit in 10 years, I'm sure.
There's still those guys out there, man.
There are, but it's not prevalent. It's not the way it used to be.
I think one of the most interesting things I heard about whenever I was looking up shit about this, me and Dave actually just saw it, was apparently Pileggi's wife actually wrote My Blue Heaven, and that's supposed to be Henry Hill when he was in fucking Witness Protection. The Steve Martin movie.
I know, right? That was my reaction.
Yeah, that's supposed to be Henry.
Now I want to go back and rewatch that.
That was my reaction also.
I was like, that's fucking interesting.
I used to love that movie as a kid.
I saw it when it came out. I think I saw it one time and that's it. But now it's like, oh, fuck, I got to go back and I got to find that one now.
That's crazy. I would not even thought of that.
Because as soon as we saw that, and we just looked at each other like, what the fuck? Like, no way. No, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, all right. Makes sense.
Yeah, the more you think about it. But yeah, absolute classic. Once again, if you get into flicks like this, absolutely start with Goodfellas. That's your starting point.
Yep.
There's a lot of gangster flicks out there, but this is where I would start.
Yeah, I'd say this and Godfather 1 and 2, like they're definitely the best earlier gangster films, if not the best ever made since then. Like it's definitely hard to top those three.
Probably never will again.
Nope.
Unfortunately, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
This is why we have the classics to remember a better time in film.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we talk about them to try to get people that haven't seen them to watch them, but we'll see what happens.
What are you doing?
I want to know if we've ever actually reached anybody and had them watch a movie they never seen after watching our show.
And if you haven't seen Goodfellas, what the fuck you waiting for? Go. All right. And if there's somebody out there that doesn't like Goodfellas, well, go fuck yourself, motherfucker. All right. This is fucking amazing.
Do you see the fucking helicopter? You see the helicopter's back. It's been following me around all morning.
I've been all over fucking town today, and I've seen this helicopter all day.
You want to see helicopters?
Yeah, they really get they really kind of like nail the whole drug riddled Henry as well, and the whole cocaine shit and like the paranoia, like it's all real. That shit happens. Like
they said he was bad on the drugs back in the day, apparently.
Yeah.
But that was the thing, people talk to him and they're like, were you really that paranoid? He was like, brother, that wasn't paranoia. That was real. There were real helicopters fucking following me, and he always thought that whenever like that in the film, whenever he's getting pinched for the drugs and all that, he thought he didn't even realize that they were after him for the drugs. He didn't know they were on him for the drugs. He thought, because he always had like tails and stuff like that all the time after the Lufthansa, because they knew who committed the crime. They just couldn't prove it. And, he just always thought that they were trying to, pin him to Lufthansa or, whatever. So whenever that came down and he got pinched for the drugs, he didn't even realize what was going on. He really was taking that girl to go get her fucking hat. And ended up getting surrounded. And, they told him, like, look, we got you for this drugs. And if you don't cooperate, you're either you cooperate or you're going to end up dead, and he didn't really care, about, a lot of people get criticized him for being a rat and all this and all that. He will say that well, not anymore, he's dead, but I mean, he said, that he didn't care, he always believed, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So he didn't care what they did to him. His big thing was that he didn't want anything to happen to his wife or kids. And that's why he ultimately ratted everybody out, because he didn't want something to happen to them. So, and I think, his kids fucking, ended up hating him anyway and all that. So, yeah, it's tragic. He'll be the first person to tell you, not to ever get into that lifestyle, because you're setting yourself up for a bullet at some point. It might seem appealing and glamorous and glitzy, but it's harsh, it's selfish, it's not forgiving, and it's not something you want to do.
Everything comes with a price.
Absolutely.
Truth. Very much so.
Did you ever get takeout and get egg noodles and ketchup?
Yes.
Here, I was just a never nobody.
Now we gotta wait online.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Goodfellas. We might actually come back to this one. We might do this one again someday here. But it's
I don't know. I'm sure we'll hit more. Chuck mentioned Wolf of Wall Street. We could do an episode on that. Pretty much every Scorsese film we could do an episode on, and I'm sure we will at some point. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, before we leave you,
you're gonna hit a button.
You're gonna hit a button.
You're gonna hit a button.
You're gonna hit a button. I'm going to hit this button here because I'm going to fire up the random clip generator, because it is now time for our random clip of the week.
What do we got? I'm scared.
This is the point in the show when our random clip generator selects a random clip from a random movie, and we see what happens. And maybe when this is over, I'll learn how to speak English. But here we go.
Hey, first you got to do the truffle shuffle. Come on! Do it! Come on! Do it!
I wonder who came up with the truffle shuffle.
I don't know.
We'll have to save that for the Goonies episode.
We haven't done Goonies, but
we have not done Goonies.
Next week
we are doing the horror equivalent to Goonies.
Exactly. We'll be talking about the Monster Squad. Boom, boom.
And start getting into some horror films. Warming up.
Yeah, it's about that time, boys.
Yeah, we'll see a little more Whitman too.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. So join us
Christmas.
Wait, you hear that?
What's that?
You hear that?
Is somebody kicking in your trunk?
Oh shit!
Did I hit something?
You're gonna have to pull over and see. Pull over and see.
Did I hit something? I don't know. I'll look into it. But anyway, Until next time.
And does anybody have anything going on in their lives they want to share with the world?
Yes.
Okay.
Every week.
I got books. I got I got my novel House of Flesh out now finally. After 8 years. I've got my novella Thirsty out, and the anthology Sludge that I did with Stuart Bray and Jason Nickey. All those you can get on Amazon. They are in paperback and ebook, Kindle, that kind of shit. Bastard Sons of a Genius Goat. We play in the Mountains of Metal. I think it's Mountains of Metal 8, maybe. It's coming up. The first weekend, is it October 4th? No, October 7th. Whatever. It's on the page. Go to the Facebook page, and you'll find out where it's at. Because apparently my brain is mush, and I can't remember shit. But we're also getting ready to we're putting the finishing touches on our new album to get it out here soon. It's some of the coolest shit we've ever done, I think. So keep an eye out for that. Bandcamp, Facebook, YouTube, all that shit. Don't forget Graveyard Talk and Nasty Nation on Anchor and Spotify, and also Bastard Sons on Spotify. And what the fuck else am I doing, boys? Am I doing anything else exciting?
Everything.
I'm doing everything. Everything.
And all the
Stop
links
blasting.
that Chuck spoke of are in the description. And a shout out to our boy Whitman as well. Whitman Photography. Did I say it right? Did I get it that time?
Wait, no, photography, like
photography.
Like he's taking pictures of faux.
God damn it.
Photographer. He's a photographer. Actually, Whitman's he's a photographer, and I don't know, and a grinder. He's always wheeling and dealing. Wheeling and dealing, doing the shit, getting the shit done, getting it going.
All the links for Whitman are in the description as well. So make sure you check all that out. Make sure you click that subscribe button. Links. Well, Chuck's memory is shot. Mike needs to pull over to check his trunk. And I need to learn how to speak English again. So we're going to go, but we'll see you next Tuesday.